the giving and investment of Atlanta has inspired us to give more. So it's not that we are inspired to keep on receiving more, but it's inspired us to give more and has enabled us to do things that we couldn't have done alone.
Well, hi. Welcome to this week's C3 Church Global podcast. My name is Ben. I have with me a incredible cast here this week to chat about all things C3 missions. I'll just introduce the group. We've got Rock Mutegheki, our Regional Director for East West Africa. I have Jeff Kane, our Regional Director for Americas. Welcome, Jeff. And Sam Picken, our regional director for Canada. They all lead their own local churches in those regions. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Good to have you on board. So we just thought we would spend a little time this week talking about what's going on around the movement with regards to missional opportunities that are in various regions. And currently, I know Sam and Jeff both supporting Rock in his pursuit of building the kingdom in East West Africa. So, gentlemen, I thought I'd just start with perhaps Sam and Jeff giving us a little bit of background as to how you came to get connected with Rock and start building a relationship that would bear fruit in Uganda.
I mean, I met Rock in Hawaii, actually, at one of our C3 events. And he came to me and said, hey, can we have a few minutes this afternoon to sit down and talk? And so one of my executive pastors and I sat down with Rock, and he laid out the whole vision. And I said, let me think about it. Let me see what our team thinks. And that's when it all started. We just started giving him support, and it's been fantastic. So I think, and I tell Rock this all the time, I would say our support of Rock actually benefits our church more than it benefits them. Our church rallies around Rock is very charismatic. He gives us updates, he does videos, and our church gets more excited about supporting Pastor Rock than about, honestly, building our own building, about our own kind of, we were building a facility with Pastor Rock, and we were doing our own vision builders at the same time, and our church was more excited about Uganda than they were about our own building. So it's really inspired us, but that's how we got connected, and we've just kind of kept drip feeding the relationship over time. We don't have big conference calls. We just connect over email or WhatsApp or occasional maybe phone calls. And when he's got a project that he needs done, he calls me and says, hey, what can you do? And it's a give and take. He's had things where he's asked me for stuff, and I've said, hey, I'm not able to do that right now. And then I've had times when I've said, hey, I'm able to do something. Do you have anything going on?
Right.
And it's been great. Typically, I just say, hey, I've got some extra funds. Let's send them your way. I don't ask him for any accountability, but Rock is very good about tying in the funding to local people receiving change. And so I would give Rock all the credit. He does a great job of making sure that when we support him, we're very aware of where our money's going, and that really helps people get inspired.
And so just to kind of go right back to the start, so it started quite organically.
Well, sort of, yeah. I mean, I think I met Pastor Rock at the same time, so organically, yes. But he asked for a meeting. I mean, he asked. I think that's important. There are needs around the
front-footedness.
Yeah, because there's needs that we're not aware of because no one asks.
Right.
And that does make a difference. Rock is very good at just letting us know there's a need without any kind of pressure or high sales. He just let us know there's an opportunity, and we embrace the opportunity. And now it's been, I don't know, a couple of years. So It's been great.
Awesome. Coming to you, Sam, how did it happen for you? Like, how did you connect together?
Yeah, we are part of an amazing movement around the world, 600 plus churches all over, and knew about Rock, knew of Rock, and had kind of just a distant relationship. But then it was a conversation with Pat Ancliffe, actually, that we were sitting and having lunch in Sydney, and Pat was just reporting. I was asking about the East African area, what was happening with churches around the area, and I was also talking about, we were already giving like close to 10% of our budget to missions initiatives, and I was just saying to him, I would prefer to just funnel this money into C3 internationally instead of, like, there are other organizations that we love giving, like giving to and being a part of. But there's always need out there. But I what are the needs within C3? And Pat's like, oh man, it's funny that you bring this up, because Pat was considering, or I'm not sure if it was like fully canceling that year's Express, which is a church planting development week intensive. And right. I was aware that Rock wasn't sure how to make it work that particular year. And I was just like, Pat, like, how much is it? Like, let's do it. Like, I'll make it happen. And man, how good is that? Like, it's not just helping out another C3 church and need that's in our movement, but it's also empowering and releasing other church planters, which is what we're all about. And it just felt like a no-brainer. And so, yeah, that was, I don't know how many years ago that was now, maybe 5 years ago or something now. Mm-hmm. And we've been involved in that since, and then other areas. Rock's made known to us other areas, but I agree with Jeff. When Rock sends his video reports through, he's great with that. It's very super engaging and very specific, and you can see exactly, the church can see exactly the impact of their generosity, and the fact that it's benefiting C3 is even better.
Great. Awesome. So Rock, coming to you, you've obviously worked hard. You've worked the room with Jeff in one instance, and you've obviously been the beneficiary of great connections through Pat Ancliffe. Tell us about how the relationship with Jeff and Sam has impacted the region, impacted Uganda, impacted your church.
I'll start with my church. With Jeff, we are doing a lot of work in the country. That is the western part of Uganda. We have a school. It's now 600 kids. And then we've seen Atlanta so into that regularly. And the relationship is organic. So literally you get to these churches in this part of the country, and they love Atlanta. The children send reports back. But also significantly, we did a building with Kasese. That is like currently our biggest building throughout the buildings that we have. But we've done that as a partnership, and I would love my brothers and sisters in developing countries to know this, that just going for a handout and seeking help is not what we are trying to promote. But what I know is when we do something and then the world sees it, they are willing to support us, giving us a hand up in what we are doing. So I say the giving and investment of Atlanta has inspired us to give more. So it's not that we are inspired to keep on receiving more, but it's inspired us to give more and has enabled us to do things that we couldn't have done alone. So that's the journey. It's interesting and no pressure. It looks good and healthy and clean. Now, with Toronto, it's more of regional support. And that comes to Express, where we train our pastors and leaders. And it's been going through the years. And I want to say that for both of them, it's been easy. I've not found it really hard or pleading or even begging. It's been easy and organic. The Toronto team is amazing. They've come over a couple of times and we've done Express together. So it's not the kind of giving where there is a boss somewhere and then there is someone begging somewhere. It's not like that. It's family, it's healthy, and it's good. So literally it's networking and organic.
Right. So the relationship's deeper than just financial aid, a transaction happening from one church to another. There's partnership there in the region. Your C3 Toronto have people who have they've broken bread with you, they've worked out at Express with you, they've really been together with you, joining for that week, and I'm sure other things as well. So it really is broader than just financial aid being shared.
Yeah, that was the people that went over was our internship. And we used a mission aspect with this to help build our interns, and they would go over there, and it's a crazy the stories that would come back, and just seeing the leadership rise in people, and they would have to go and raise up their own support in order to pay for the flights to get over there, and it became like holistic. Like as Jeff said, they would come back, and the benefit to us, you know, is immense.
Yeah, great. I mean, that does galvanize your local church, doesn't it? When
Yeah.
when you give to something that's beyond yourselves, when you do it corporately together, there is something about that has everyone in the same flow of trying to want to be a part of that and participate. I know from my own experience at C3 Ride, we every year for our vision builders, we get behind what's going on with our C3 Reach region. We can't all go, but we can all participate, we can all send, and we can all support. And it's a great privilege to be part of that. And we've been doing that for over 20 years, and it's one of the most exciting seasons of our calendar, really, from a local church point of view. We've just gone through it.
I think it helps you connect with the heart of God. I mean, it fulfills you who
Wow.
you are intended to be. So it's not just a matter of getting excited
Right.
or being enthusiastic. It's a matter of, hey, when I become generous and when I live my life outside of myself, of course, we know that in like a local evangelism context. But when we go this deep and go, okay, we're not just taking finances, we're taking relationships, we're taking all of this to areas we probably will never spend much time in. I think people get excited because it fulfills the heart of God on the inside of them. They're becoming more the image of God than they otherwise would be. And so I think it's an important distinction to make, because when you consider that without this, you're lacking some piece of discipleship, I'll call it, that fulfills who you're called to be. But when you engage in that, and when I think this is what's great about Rock, is that the feedback back helps you kind of get a handle on. If I just sent money and then I saw Rock once every 3 years at global events, it wouldn't be the same. But when he's sending updates, it helps me see what I'm doing actually is Christ-like. And again, that's why I think we just sent a team to Honduras. They're going to come back, and the people that went to Honduras are going to get way more impacted than the people in Honduras, because again, they're becoming more Christ-like. They're becoming more of who they're called to be. And I think it's an important distinction, because everyone needs to be doing this in order to be the people they're called to be. So anyway,
So good.
Yeah, awesome. It certainly has that picture of 2 Corinthians 8, doesn't it? For the Corinthians and being encouraged by what they saw of the Macedonian church. Overflowing joy. When we're all welling up in rich generosity, when we're all on the same page, when we're all being galvanized by the Holy Spirit, being unified to give to and experiencing that rich joy that we've been given. I love that. Yeah.
Come on.
So that's not so. You're not only giving into Uganda, both Jeff and Sam, and you're giving into other areas. What else is on your radar? What's happening in the future? Sam, you've got some exciting projects coming up.
Yeah, I mean, like through the years, like we've pretty much find any excuse to give to any church plant, especially in Americas. So if it's America, Canada, Latin America, if we're hearing of a church plant happening, I understand the realities of that, and we try and send some funds. So if you're watching this and you're a future church plant, knock on the door.
Right, come on.
Yeah, but right now we've got a couple, as we're recording this right now, a couple just moved 2 weeks ago to Mexico City, Bonnie and Enrique. They're getting started on the ground there, and Pastor Rock is some of the shifts that has happened mean that our interns going over there there's a vision change over in Northeast Africa for that need. So for now, our interns every semester will go down to Mexico City, and they'll do that portion there. Well, not all of them, but some of them will do that portion there. And so twice a year, there'll be an injection I actually think twice through the internship semester. So that might be 4 times a year. There would be a physical injection of people and resource down to help that church plant, and then also sending funds there as well. So that's another thing that's going on.
And that's really breaking ground in Central America for us as a movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
going to be
exciting.
amazing. Yeah. It was crazy. I'll tell you a real quick story. Like about 3 days after they landed, they're looking for a rental, like a place to establish their family because they're just staying in an Airbnb right now. And as they're waiting for the realtor to show up, they look across the parking lot and it's raining out, and this person's wearing a jacket that has C3 on it. And they're like, wait, is that our C3? And they're like, kind of, because it wasn't the same logo. So they walk across the parking lot and introduce themselves, and they're like, "Hey, it's funny, we're starting a church that's titled C3." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, I was a part of I was part of C3 in New York City, C3 NYC, and we were on team there, and
Wow.
and this is in a city of 13 million people, and we've been in Mexico City for the last 5 years, and how's that for a God moment?" And so they had dinner, and they're like, "Yeah, well, you're planning a C3 church here. We love C3, and we'll be a part of it." How good's that?
It's good. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about here is, connections that bear fruit. That's incredible. Amazing. And so Jeff, as well for yourselves, I know you had just had Rock over for your vision builders not long ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that, what the other areas are that you're looking to impact?
Sure. I mean, I think that was an easy decision to have Rock come over for our vision builders because it's been a part of our vision builders. So every time we talk about vision builders, we tie that our vision builders as well. And we would say, hey, while we're building our church, we're also building the church in Kasese. So to have Rock come over for our vision builders gala was a no brainer. And I think two for me. I'm hoping he'll come back again soon. I think having the real on-site connection that goes beyond the screen just brings a humanity into the equation. Plus, it solidifies my relationship with Rock, who I don't see very often. And I think if we can supplement just the basic support with genuine relationship, that's what family is, and that to me makes all the difference. So, we'll pay to have Rock come over probably once a year as he's able to do that. I never put any, and I think that's important to know. I don't put any pressure on Rock to do anything. I don't put
Yeah,
any
right.
pressure on Rock to do videos. I don't say, hey, I need you to come to Vision Builders. I said, hey, we'd love to have you. We'll pay for you to come over, but I don't put, I don't put any expectation on him. I don't say, hey, we're supporting you. I need you to do this. There's never any kind of reciprocal demand placed on him, because that just doesn't seem right to me. But it does benefit us to have him come over. In fact, I'm trying to get him to bring Edwin and Mercy to come over and do worship with us and let Edwin see kind of what's going on in our church. And his daughter. I'm hoping his daughter will come over because having that next generation come in and be a part of, for our young adults and for his daughter, a really cool opportunity to connect the next generation of people across the globe. The other thing we're doing is South America, which is a commission from the global office for us to do South America, but also it was in our hearts to do it. We kind of asked for it. So South America is probably more economically developed than Uganda is, but they still can't afford to have people come down from our region and visit or support. So we don't do any economic support in terms of we don't give them money for vision builders or anything like that. But we, out of Atlanta and then some also out of the region, we will send people down to build a relationship and to build culture. Because South American churches, there's 4 primary churches down there, and they are all phenomenal C3 churches. You walk in, and it really is like your home. It's just like family, but they're isolated. Brazil, you think, oh, that's just one country. Brazil is massive, and they are almost separated on their own continent because they speak Portuguese, where the rest of the continent speaks Spanish. They're like their own continent unto themselves. But they've been a part of C3 for years without a whole lot of connection, and now we're going down 2 to 3 times a year. Not always Jeff and Sonny, but always 1 or 2 couples going down just to bring inspiration. And again, I don't say I've got to preach. I don't say I've got to do anything. We just go down to build a relationship, establish culture, and give them some support. Showing up is great support. And so we'll do that 2 or 3 times a year. And same thing, like I come back, so the churches are smaller than my church. The region is much smaller than our region, but I come back so inspired, seeing what they're doing in South America. It's phenomenal. So it's a different kind of support, but I also think it's an important kind of support, going down and just building the family. So we do
Absolutely.
that, and of course we do fund that out of Atlanta, and then some out of the region.
Yeah, and it's reciprocal, because a lot of the Brazilians turned up at the Americas gathering that you just had.
They did, which is huge for them. That's a big expense. Yeah, and I think that builds everybody. So
yeah, that's so exciting. I mean, again, we're talking about this C3 missions initiatives really being relationally connected. It's not about a transaction. It's about a relationship that's being formed and forged across each of the regions. Rock, you talked about not just receiving, but also paying it forward and sowing into other regions. I know, for example, you're currently exploring with Edwin, who Jeff just mentioned, about going to Southern Africa and doing some entrepreneurial training there. Do you want to just sort of talk a little bit about how you're not just receiving from Jeff and Sam, but you're also sowing into not just your own region, but other regions as well?
Yeah, importantly, C3 Kasese and Bwera, C3 Alive has just done a temporary building and a piece of property for C3 Kabelele, which is a smaller village church. So literally, when our people receive, they don't just want to be consumers, they want to be breathing out also. So it's interesting that we are able to sow back into the areas that are around us. We've been doing the entrepreneurial program as a global initiative, and we are training entrepreneurs because that's the way to go. Instead of people sitting there and waiting to receive handouts, we want to give them a handout. And we know that the first thing that needs to be changed is the mind. So poverty affects the mind than anything else. So we are including on our teaching programs in our churches, entrepreneurial training and the right theology, and then trying to change people's minds. We'll have a manual that we put together, global sponsored that, and we'll have a team that works on that. So we have our churches are also centers of entrepreneurial training, and we are training people to save, but we are also training them to invest and providing coaches for them. So it's step by step. And talking to Anil and Asaf in Southern Africa, we are putting resources together at a global level to ensure that we train the South African nations and churches on how to be entrepreneurs. So that's the way to go.
Awesome. Yeah, see, I love that. I love that it hasn't just stopped with you. You've kept on sowing, you've kept moving. And I'm sure that's come out of the generosity of the church, because they've been so impacted by the generosity of others. It's that rich overflow that we talked about before. That's fantastic. So again, for listeners who are listening, the beauty of supporting other C3 churches around in different regions, could be even in your own region, is having those established relationships. And as a matter of fact, I was even chatting with one of our Australian pastors a couple of weeks ago, who really felt a call of God on his heart to support Fiji. I mean, who wouldn't feel like they'd, that call of God's not in the heart for Fiji? I think I'll put my hand up for that one. Sounds fantastic. But, the opportunity that he was talking about and what he felt God calling him to, I just said, oh, look, do you know the national overseer for Fiji? Oh, no, I'm not in touch. How about I help you connect from, with that person, so that you can at least touch base with them and chat about what the opportunity is that he sees, and the need that they see for that particular area. That's the beauty of jumping into something like this, is that Global can assist people connect and establish relationships that can bear fruit across each of the regions. So, for listeners, there are a couple of opportunities that I'd love to draw your attention to, that you can reach out to us, or you can find out more information through our website. But the three keys for us are that you can support a region if you feel like God's put a call on your heart to support a particular region and drawing to that. We can definitely put you in touch with those regional directors that can direct you to initiatives that are currently going on in those regions. If you feel a call to planting churches, but perhaps you don't have the personnel in your church at the moment and you'd just like to partner with somebody who is planting a church, again, in a specific region or maybe just generally, you can get in touch with us and we can put you in touch with other church planters. And so that you can come alongside them and not just financially, but you can walk with them prayerfully, perhaps go and visit, as Jeff's talked about, going down to Brazil, so impactful. Sam sending people down to Mexico City 4 times a year, impactful not just for the local church, but for the people who have gone and traveled down there as well. And so, yeah, there's an opportunity for you to partner in that area as well. And the third is more of a centralized support, but we don't want this to be, C3 Global just managing a pool of funds. We really see the connection being the key to the success of financial viability of the regions. And so it's not just us pooling money in centrally, but there is the opportunity to sow into our leadership development programs. We have Academy, we have Express, and we have Launch, our 3 key initiatives that we're currently running to develop leaders in local churches and in regions for potentially future planting or transitioning into a succession role, into a senior pastor role, or potentially even taking on a location pastor role as well. So we have 3 initiatives that we're currently running that obviously don't cost nothing, they cost something. And if you'd like to partner with us in doing that and sowing into the next generation of leaders, we'd love to hear from you as well. So they're really 3 key areas that you can support C3 across the globe in those areas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We're coming right to the end of our half hour. Any concluding thoughts from you about the impact of the initiatives that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I just encourage anyone listening. So there's people that might have some resource to help support someone, but if you're someone out there, go through your regional director of whatever needs you have. And it's hard to support something if you don't know what it is. So any pastor out there, any church out there, when you're struggling to see the vision come to pass in a developing part of the world, and that's the beauty about being a part of C3 that's so diverse all over the planet. It just feels very Acts 2. They shared what they had so that there was no one that was in need, and that we can do that for each other. But let your regional director know. Let the regional director be the voice piece for you to create a list of opportunities for people to connect, and it's going to be incredible. We're going to see more of this all over the movement.
Beautiful. So, I just say, if you're a church pastor or you're an executive pastor or whoever, and you think, I would love to do that, our church just can't afford that, I would encourage you to step out. We always encourage our people to be generous. I'd encourage you as a church to be generous. And I think you will see, where you sow, there also you will reap. You will see, as you become a generous church, you will see generosity bloom in your church. And so I don't think anybody goes, I've got so much money, I have an overflow. But I think there just is supernatural provision. And so you've got to do what you ask your people to do, which is, hey, if you're not tithing, why don't you just take a step? I'd say if you're not supporting C3 missions, why don't you just take a step? Maybe you can do $100 a month. Maybe you can do $200 a month, whatever it is. We went from probably zero not long ago to now we're doing the 10%, tithing off of our vision builders and our general offerings. And I would have said there's no way we can do that. But, God is able. We just gotta take some steps here. So you will get more out of it than you give. There's no question.
Right. And that's actually a good point before we wrap up. So mechanically, or mechanistically, you give 10% of the tithe that you receive. Is that something that you, Sam, Jeff, Rock, is that something that you strive for or try to achieve?
That's the baseline, yeah. And that,
yeah.
So yeah. Our levies are included in that, but that's our baseline.
Yeah, I don't think that's a doctrinal thing. I think it's just it's a heart. And I think,
Yes.
it's a heart to reflect the heart of God in your church to go, we want to be a generous church.
And these
Oh,
principles they work everywhere. They are not just Western principles. They are biblical principles. If you're generous, if you refresh others, you will be refreshed. So mine is to encourage all the pastors in the developing countries to be generous, look out to the need in the community and to other churches and step up. Don't just be a consumer. You also need to be a producer. And that's how it works.
great. Great.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Look, and just to be clear, Global is not mandating that people need to give a tenth of their tithes. That's not what we're talking about here. We were just, I was just curious as to how some of the senior pastors in our movement have been doing that. I do know that SYD, for example, C3 SYD, do that. They have been a generous church over many years for C3 Global and really were the starting point, the catalyst for a lot of this, where historically we have been a church with a movement, and when we've now moved to a movement of churches, and SYD being that spearhead church that has significantly supported Global over many years has definitely done that, and now we're seeing the fruit of that, where other churches are getting on board and participating. But I want to just echo what Jeff said: it doesn't matter about the amount. $100 can make a huge difference in a developing nation, in a church plant in a developing nation. It can actually make a significant difference, $100 a month. So, wherever you are, whatever size church you have, it doesn't matter. We just love and appreciate all C3 churches, whatever the size and whatever people are willing to partner with us. We are very grateful. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing and speaking with you soon. See you soon.
Amen.
Thank you.